Together, growing in faith, changing communities.
On the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb early, while it was still dark, and saw that the stone had been taken away from the tomb. My brothers and sisters, when this happened, there still was darkness. It was as if the whole world was mourning, and there was silence, that mourning silence. And this woman, Mary of Magdala, all by herself, in fear and trembling, moves. She moves towards the tomb. When she sees that the tomb is empty, everything changes. Those who are fast asleep wake up, and we hear that Mary of Magdala ran and went to Simon Peter. She ran. She did not walk. Peter and the other disciple both ran to the tomb. So life flares up again. God has first opened the tomb, and this is a revolution. But this revolution is brought about by the resurrection of Christ. In Jewish society, women, like slaves and children, were discriminated against. Do you remember during the multiplication of bread, which is reported by the Synoptics and John? In that, we are told that there were 5,000 men. And the gospel writers all tell us, excluding women and children. They weren't counted because they did not matter much. But when Christ rises from the dead, it is revolution. Now, through a woman, God announces to the world that death has been defeated. Women have a role to play in God's plan of salvation. Women have a role to play in God's church. If you silence women, oppress them, sideline them, abuse them, no matter where you may be, you are setting yourself up against God. You can't negate God. God has spoken. You negate him to your own peril. There is another character in this gospel, the unnamed disciple. Sometimes is referred to as a beloved disciple. We hear about him at the beginning of John's Gospel, and he's always associated with Peter. But he follows Christ before Peter does. He was called by Christ together with Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter. They were the first two to follow Christ. And this unnamed disciple stays with Jesus throughout his passion. Peter denies Christ, but the unnamed disciple follows Jesus to Calvary. Peter runs away. In the tomb, this disciple who ran ahead of Peter saw and believed. He saw with his eyes and believed. Peter saw but did not come to faith in the resurrection. Confronted with death, with an empty tomb, with the linen cloths lying around and the shroud, this unnamed disciple sees the victory of life. Hope you'll remember in the Sea of Tiberias, it is this disciple who recognized the man who was on the shore as the risen Lord, as Jesus. Peter only recognized him after him. Why is this disciple not named? Who does he stand for? The reason why he's not named is that it can be you, it can be me. But there is somebody whose fellowship of Christ is unique, is consistent, is active. God is asking you and me to learn from him what we have to do to live for Jesus. Greater love has no man than this, that a man may lay down his life for his friends. Have you ever heard of vicarious suffering? This is our suffering as Christians, directly or indirectly, but it's the suffering that alleviates Christ's suffering. We are so hurt and hurting. If you look at our society, everybody is complaining. Everybody is not happy. But that's not our call as Christians. That's not our call as people of the resurrection. We are so hurt and hurting because of our human situations. But our heads must not blind us. We must willingly offer them to Christ on the cross so as to experience his resurrection. Each time we love again after having our love rejected, we share in the power of the resurrection. Each time we trust after having our trust betrayed, we share in the power of the resurrection. Each time we fail and try again, we share in the power of the resurrection. Each time we hope again, after having our hope smashed into pieces, we share in the resurrection, in the power of the resurrection. And each time we pick up pieces, wipe our tears, face the sun, and start again, we share in the power of the resurrection. And brothers and sisters, the message of Easter, of an empty tomb, of the resurrection, is that nothing and nothing can destroy us anymore. Not pain, not sin, not rejection, not death. Christ conquered all, and that we too can conquer all if we put our faith in him. Mary of Magdala was confronted with an empty tomb. Our God is a conqueror. Lomfundi kurabhala unabafundi bakhe abafundisa ubuntu, impilo, ukholo, ubuholi. Uthe sebafundisile, siyababuza ukuthi ubona ngani ukuthi ukuhlwa sekudlulile, sekukhona ukukhanya, ubusuku sebudlulile, sekukhona imini. Baphendula, ubona ngokuthi uthi umubheka, ubona leya moto ezalaphana ibomvu noma imhlophe, azame nomunye. Ngibona ngokuthi ngibona ukuthi awuleyandla yakabani naleyandla yakabani, azame nomunye. Baloke besho izinto ngaleso sikhathi bethi bayazama, ubuso bakhe bulobe bushwaqa, agcine bamisile. Cha imani, nina nisasemqondweni wokubona okuhlukanisayo, okudividayo. Insimu yakhe, insimu yakhe, imoto yakhe, imoto yakhe, ikhaya lakhe, ikhaya lakhe. Akunjalo kwaNkulunkulu. Bese bebuza, Rabbi, ubona ngani ukuthi ukuhlwa nobusuku sebudlulile sekuyimini? Bese thi yena, uma ubheka umuntu oseceleni kwakho, ubheka ubuso bakhe, bese ubona ukuthi udadewenu noma umfowenu, ubusuku sebudlulile sekuyimini. Ukuvuka kwabafileyo kukaJesu Ukungatholakali kwakhe ethuneni seliyibuze. Usho.
Together, growing in faith, changing communities.